And we're back, and we thought Saturday was good, and then Sunday happened. The first game Sunday, then the second game Sunday, but both were great games. The first game, we saw the Los Angeles Rams going back to the NFC Championship game by beating Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 30-27. They led 27-3. They almost blew it as Brady brought his team all the way back, but a long pass to Cooper Kupp for the Rams and a field goal by Matt is going to send them to the championship game against the San Francisco 49ers. What did we see in that one?
Well, Brady, when he's pressured, doesn't play the same. We saw a lot of that in the first half. The refs even flagged him for complaining too much. I thought he was above reproach, and they would never do that.
It was validated,
what?
That was validated for him complaining. He had a bloody mouth from a helmet contact. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it is kind of nice for them to say "shut up" and play to him, which it doesn't seem like they do.
Yeah.
I wonder why the early, I think it was the first drive, they gave Fournette two handoffs. He got like 7 yards and then like 10 yards. They stopped feeding him after that. Why did they get? Yeah, Fournette's a good running back, and you can control the game with him. The Rams looked really good, and the I almost said Patriots, but I didn't. The Tampa Bay Bucks missed a field goal and made one field goal en route to it being 27-3, and then a very familiar script started playing out from the Super Bowl of a few years ago, and back came Brady. But I got to be honest, it was the Rams just shitting the bed repeatedly, fumbling and
turnovers, interceptions,
throwing garbage picks. It just looked really, really bad. There was a point early on, though. I don't know if you guys caught this. Ndamukong Suh went, as he got flagged, went to the refs and was saying, "But he kicked me. You didn't see him kicking me. You heard it. You heard it on the ref's mic." Do you guys remember what Ndamukong Suh did to a guy when he stepped on his face with his cleat when his helmet was off? I just thought it was hilarious. He was complaining about kicking. And then the Brady comeback falls a little short, which was nice because it felt like scripted that he was going to come all the way back. I was kind of like relieved that didn't happen again. How about you, Pete?
Oh yeah, of course. I gotta give it to Stafford. I thought he was a Detroit quarterback, and I hope he's not a Detroit quarterback this week against the 49ers. But I thought he was. And I thought that this team they were just in a position where they thought the game was over. There was barely any time left. They let Tampa Bay come back in the game with bad calling and bad execution. And they were just trying to run the ball, trying to burn the clock. They thought the first downs were going to come easy. And everything, it just seemed like they were giving all the momentum back to Tampa. To see Stafford come out and throw, 3 long completions in a moment where it really mattered in that game, instead of crumbling, how many times do you see, one team on the gas pedal, the other team kind of leaning back, hoping the game ends, and the other team never comes back? I mean, I got to give it to Stafford for throwing those 3 passes at the end of that game. And he's gotten my vote for, he's going to be a presence for the rest of his playoffs.
Well, the one thing I think about him, and I feel good for him too, because you see how the league works out. You can't make excuses for the team that you're on, but you kind of can. 12 years, no playoff wins, finally gets that elusive playoff win, has 2 of them now. I think he's a guy who can play. I don't think Detroit put a team around him other than Calvin Johnson. And I think a lot of this league, too, is you're showing the talent of a guy who probably could have been showcased for the last decade. That might have been like even the Phillip Rivers conversation. You know what I mean? Being that good. I think he's a good quarterback. I'm happy for him. And I think that he really didn't get rattled at that point. And the fact that he was able to beat Tom Brady, defending Super Bowl champion Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, eliminating them. We will get a new champ this year. I was impressed personally.
Yeah.
So we ready to move on to the main event?
Yeah, grand finale, all the fireworks. Let all those fireworks
out.
Here
we go, right here in Kansas City. And wow, we had a Probably the best football game I've ever seen, non-Super Bowl at least. Patrick Mahomes, 13 seconds left, leads 2 passes, a field goal ties it. The team wins it in overtime. Kansas City goes crazy. I'm downtown. I'm watching it at this thing. The amount of emotions I saw go through people was absolutely incredible. Pete, what did we see? I still can't believe this happened.
Well, Patrick Mahomes, I always talk about how he doesn't play 4 quarters of football, and then that's usually the thing with him. But the thing is about Mahomes and this Kansas City team is when they're clicking, they are outright unstoppable. And it doesn't matter what defense you are and how talented you are on that side of the ball. They're just absolutely going to pick you apart. Andy Reid's going to call the perfect plays. Patrick Mahomes is going to see his first read and throw it to his first read. I mean, that's literally what happened in the last 13 seconds. Buffalo's supposed to have a really good pass defense, and then, come late in that game, they just didn't show up. And I guess there was a part of them that every time that Buffalo came ahead, they felt like, again, the game is over. And you see a lot of teams doing that in the playoffs because there's so much nerves going through. Oh my God, we need this game. It's lose or go home. We got this. We won. And then all of a sudden you let the other team come back and you're like, oh my God, now we need to play again. And you got to give it to Josh Allen and Mahomes, both of them. Had they changed the rules in this game like 2 years ago, and it said every team gets a chance, this game probably would have went over 100 for each team. I feel like they would have scored touchdowns on every possession.
It felt that way.
It would have just went back and forth. It wouldn't have came down to the quarterbacks. It would have came down to a receiver fumbling. Or maybe like a missed snap by the center or something. It wasn't going to come down to the hands on Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. One other take is those final few drives. I mean, I already talked about how horrendous Buffalo's defense was. The 13-second drive, I mean, you had the announcer in it. And I'm not just going to ride it with the announcers say, but absolutely in no right mind are you supposed to kick that ball out the back of the end zone. I think that the coaching staff, I literally was watching Josh Allen hugging coaching staff on the sideline after that touchdown. Everybody thought that game was over. They forgot they didn't execute in the final few plays of the game, letting Kansas City back into that game. Totally just taking everything out of your soul away, from Buffalo. That kick, I mean, you're not supposed to do that. In my opinion, it's supposed to be a squib kick, maybe a high kick short of the end zone. It's a 4-second runoff when the team handles the ball. That scenario, a squib kick is designed so the team doesn't run the ball back. Maybe I understand that the odds of the ball running out of bounds or maybe a good bounce right into the return man's hands and they're able to run it for a good solid, and then it doesn't matter. But the odds of reward are so much higher to be just throwing a squib, possibly hitting the wrong guy. He's in a playoff game. He's like, oh my God, the ball's coming right at me. Maybe he mishandles it. And next thing you know, you're running 4 to 5 seconds off the clock. And Kansas City only has 1 play instead of 2 in those final minutes. I mean, the other thing is you don't double Kelsey. I don't understand how you don't double. The first design play was beautiful. That little screen with the guy in motion, really well designed play by Andy Reid. The other one, you heard Mahomes calling out, "Do it, Kels, do it." He wanted him to run like this fake, like he was running to the post, like they didn't have timeouts. The guy totally bites it. Defensive back totally bites it, lining up 10 yards from him, and you don't have 2 men on Kelsey. It's on the whole left side of the field, 1 defender on Kelsey. I don't know. Again, they thought they had the game won, and they blew it. And this was their year. Josh Allen and that Buffalo team, his contract money's coming up. He's got to get paid next year. And, all the pieces for Buffalo, this is their best version of themselves. It's going to get a lot harder to create a playoff team as strong as this one in the year.
No, I got you. Well, yeah, definitely. And we saw a very strange ending. James, what'd you say?
Okay, so this was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. I try to look at the entirety of the game, not just the way it ended. So the Bills on their first drive went for it on 4th down twice. I love that. They got the first down, and then they went for it again on fourth down to get the touchdown. Yep. That was awesome to see. I really like the play calling there. As great as Josh Allen was, I think this was one of Mahomes' best games, arms, legs, timing, and decision-making wise. He fit so many things into like small periods of time, specifically the end was just crazy. And about the end, it kind of seemed like the Buffalo Bills were playing to prevent a touchdown when they had to prevent a field goal. And like it was like stop doing it, and it was really tough to watch. Right. Kelsey's a singular talent with his blend of being hard to tackle, fast enough for his size. He just seems to like open up right when they need him to. He's just an amazing player. But a couple things that like I would like to harp on a little bit more than the end of the game. There was a punt return early in the fourth where about 6 guys missed the tackle, and it set up an easy conversion for the Chiefs. There was the Hill play where he pointed to them when he was like deuced out into the end zone. That was also like a horrible breakdown. The Chiefs also had 2 the fourth down where the guy was alone in the end zone. Like, what was he doing alone in the end zone? The second touchdown he scored where he was just like 3 feet in front of both defenders and he rolled in. Like the defenses just like took plays off, and it was just so frustrating, but it led to such a powerful game. Now, here's the thing about Josh Allen. He is just about as big as Ben Roethlisberger, but this dude is putting himself into each play, running, smashing into the defense. There was a couple times he smashed into 2 defenders, and the defenders were slow to get up. How long can you play this kind of game? I don't think he can get more than like 2 or 3 more years playing like this. So they like we saw
said, Cam Newton did it.
Yeah, and he was so great after that Super
Bowl.
Not as well. So good. So
not
good
as
after
well.
the Super Bowl. What?
But you're right. I said he's not as good at it. But you're right. They do break down a lot faster.
Yeah, and like I worry for them that their window's going to be. I worry for them that their window's going to be very short because of the way he plays, and he's going to have to get away from the running and do more of the passing if he wants to have a long career in the NFL.
That's an interesting take, James. I think you're right. I think in due time,
I get you.
Change the offensive strategy and the way Josh Allen plays. I can see that.
Oh, going forward, yeah, he has to mix the runs in much less frequently. He's going to get hurt, or he's just going to like take the, cumulative beating where he's just going to be ineffective.
I think when the Bills give him over $100 million contract, they're going to tell him like, hey, you got to stop putting your body at such risk. We're paying you a lot of money to be out there.
Yeah, he was a human battering ram in a few of the plays, if you watch. And a few of them, the Chiefs were slower to get up because he was just like,
right.
Well, Pete, the one thing I want to point out for clock, too, a lot of people aren't mentioning this. The Chiefs had a pass interference call that Buffalo declined and stopped the clock with 17 seconds left before the touchdown. Yeah, if that is not a pass interference call, that clock runs and they have one more play as the clock runs out and Kansas City never touches the ball again.
That's right. That's a very
So that's
point.
One other thing that happened. It was very interesting, though, but I will say, and I think I'm going with what James says, games aren't won and lost in one play. It's accumulation of everything. I think personally, Mahomes outplayed Allen. I think these are the 2 best teams. And when I say Mahomes outplayed Allen, I think Allen outplayed everybody else in every other game in the playoffs except that one against Mahomes.
Razor thin.
Talking about doing a best.
Although the flip of a coin could have determined it the other way.
Right, because if Mahomes doesn't win that game, we're all going to say that Allen outplayed Mahomes.
Yes,
at that point, it comes down to the winner of the.
And we will be talking next show about that flip of a coin. We'll do a segment on the overtime rules. But going on to the next show, as we're running out of time here, what's going to happen then is we're going to preview the championship games. This is Carted Off. This has been Greg, James, and Pete. Thank you guys very much for tuning in.